it's still going to be warm, but it's cooling off, I guess, a little bit.
Yes.
87 for a high today, somewhere in that vicinity, and then some showers and thunderstorms moving in this afternoon and this evening, continuing for most of the week, and then clearing up by Friday, Saturday, and getting hot again.
I saw the radar this morning. It looks like there's a big storm above us towards the cities, but no rain in our forecast until much later this afternoon, it looks like. And warm. I mean, not as warm as it was this weekend.
Lots to get to on a Monday. We, of course, will get to bad news, happy music, the friggin' sports. Going to recap my very busy weekend, going back and forth from La Crosse to Eau Claire several times. Got some Pop Evil on the way. If you want to get in touch with us, rockmornings.com is the website. You can find all of our contact info there. Listen to the show live. Check out the daily podcast. Register to win prizes. All online at rockmornings.com. Again, kind of a warm one today with a high in the mid to upper 80s and some showers and thunderstorms
Not
possible.
as dangerous, though. That's for sure.
Well, the heat warning did get extended till this morning, but then I think it's coming to an end later on today. So, Pop Evil in just a bit.
Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene on your rock station.
Come on, all you people around the world. Billions of you have got to change your passwords. You use your mamas, your sisters, your pets' names too, but they've all been stolen. I just saw it on the news. With your bank account drained and Venmo too, you'll need lots of numbers and those little curly cues. Special characters to start till they're all used up. Got to change your passwords, got to change all the words up. To have a safe password, but you can't use it twice, or you might get burned. Got to change the words up, or they'll be stolen again, and that would really suck.
Passwords. Experts warning people to change them. Several collections of login credentials revealing one of the largest data breaches in history, totaling 16 billion.
Yeah, the mother of all leaks.
Of exposed login credentials. The data most likely originates from various info stealers. The research, based on unique cyber news findings and originally published on the website on June 18th, so last week, says that the largest data breach in history involves 16 billion login credentials. Records are scattered across 30 different databases. Some records are or might be overlapping. The data most likely coming from various info stealers. The data is recent, not merely recycled from old breaches, and cyber criminals now have unprecedented access to personal credentials and could exploit them for account takeovers, identity theft, and targeted phishing attacks.
Yeah, thought to be the largest such leak in history, and being proactive about doing something about your accounts.
Changing your passwords, whether it's your social media stuff, your shopping, banking, whatever it might be. Michigan police chief says that church staff stopped a man with a couple of guns and averted a potential mass shooting at a church west of Detroit yesterday morning. Ryan Strong is the Michigan police chief there, said that parishioners at Crosse Point Community Church in Wayne, Michigan, spotted the gunman driving recklessly and then saw him exit his vehicle wearing a tactical vest and carrying weapons. The man began firing as he approached the building during a church service and was confronted. A parishioner struck the gunman with his vehicle as the gunman shot the vehicle repeatedly. At least 2 staff members then shot the gunman, causing fatal wounds. Chief Strong said the gunman's motives remaining unclear. Appears he was suffering from a mental health crisis, but had the wherewithal to put on a tactical vest and get a bunch of guns and go to a church and start trying to kill people. The shooting was at about 11 a.m. in the city of Wayne, 17,000 people about 25 miles west of Detroit. Bobby Kelly Jr., the church's pastor, said a church member ran the suspect over with his truck, giving security staff time to shoot him.
Yeah.
Police describing the suspect as a 31-year-old white male. Police said one person was shot in the leg. Other than that, nobody else was hurt.
Well, the right people seeing the right things at the right time and taking action and being able to, I mean, the erratic driving, what if that wouldn't have been a thing, right? What if he would have been
pulled up quietly and walked into the
Yeah.
church? They say 150 people were inside at the time. It could have been extremely deadly, obviously. A new Miss Wisconsin has been crowned. Willow Newell, 22-year-old from Racine, also not only Miss Wisconsin, but the first black woman to be honored with the title.
Tell me about her.
She competed amongst 29 contestants from all around Wisconsin. For the talent portion of the competition, she sang And I'm Telling You from the musical Dreamgirls. Named the top scoring vocalist, also received the Ryan Guy Memorial Music Scholarship. Her community service initiative is Expression Without Exclusion, which aims to provide an inclusive and accessible opportunity for arts through community connections, resources, and storytelling. She participated in Miss America competition since 2017 when she was a teenager. She's going to travel to Orlando, Florida in early September to compete for the title of Miss America 2026. Congratulations to the new Miss Wis.
A lot of hard work goes in being into pageants.
You think?
Yeah.
You think?
Yeah. Years and years and years.
The U.S. on high alert yesterday over concerns of retaliation from Iran after the bombing of 3 Iranian nuclear sites. Major U.S. cities from New York to L.A. stepping up their security. As the weekend came to a close, government agencies issuing warnings to citizens at home and abroad. And with the Mideast tensions heightening, all eyes, of course, glued to Iran and their response to the bombings over the weekend. The Department of Homeland Security issuing a notice in the U.S. of a heightened threat environment. Hours later, the State Department blasted out a worldwide caution security alert advising U.S. citizens overseas to exercise increased vigilance amid the ongoing Israel-Iran war. And a Wisconsin couple, a boyfriend and a girlfriend, have now been charged with attempted murder.
Oh my gosh, this is crazy.
Accused of trying to poison 2 women that the man had previously dated after he met them online. Paul Van Doyne Jr. and Andrea Whitaker,
nuts.
both in their early 40s, have been charged with attempted murder, aggravated battery, recklessly endangering the public, and stalking. On Friday, they appeared in court separately in Janesville. Bail was set at $10 million for Van Doyne. The gentleman in the case, prosecutors said, has access to substantial resources. $4 million for the female, Andrea Whitaker. Pleas not entered, each remaining in custody. Defendants have separate lawyers who did not respond immediately to requests for comments. One of the 2 victims, each of whom met Van Doyne on a dating app and saw him only a couple of times, described an experience discovering a stranger she later realized was Whitaker crouched next to her vehicle in her garage in April. The woman is identified in redacted court records as the victim from Dane County. The other woman is identified as a victim from Rock County. The Dane County woman said on Friday in court that she met Van Doyne more than a year ago, went on a couple of dates with the guy, told him she was not interested in seeing him again. I was never his girlfriend, yet he and Andrea developed the delusion that I was. This delusion was so strong they tried to murder me. Their actions and motivations are disconnected from reality. Both have shown their capacity for evil.
Yeah.
At the hearing, the woman said that after she discovered the allegations against the couple, she had people stay with her overnight, installed a security system, and hides her vehicle.
Dude, they broke into her, supposedly, right?
All
allegedly. Broke into her car, poured poison into, like, her water bottle. They put poison in her trunk that they could smell, making her, like, little sister sick.
Mm-hmm.
This, what I saw, that she had dated him, she went out on 2 dates with him 2 years ago after meeting him on, and that was it. Like, two years ago.
Don't like you.
2 years ago, and she's a mom with kid, and they were breaking in the house. They had surveillance on their house. They had,
crazy.
It's crazy. It is crazy.
There's a whole lot more to the story if you want to read about it. But
gosh.
a couple in Racine now in big trouble, or could be in big trouble, for apparently attempting to kill 2 women that this guy was finding on dating apps.
Yes.
While he was with this other gal.
No, I don't think they had started dating yet.
Okay,
like,
so
these were like
after
previous,
he started dating her, he went back
and it wouldn't even matter if they were in love relationships and had, ended. But literally, these were like people, strangers. He had gone out maybe 1, 2, 3 times off of dating apps, and nothing ever developed on it. A year or 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. And then went after him to try to kill him. Nuts.
Nirvana coming up in just a bit. Some sports as well right now. Pop Evil.
Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene. Find them online at rockmornings.com.
Successful weekend for the Brewers as they beat the Twins on Friday night, 17-6. Then you got the Phenom out there on the bump, going perfect through 6. Almost tossed a no-hitter. Blanked them on Saturday 9-0, and then they completed the series sweep yesterday with a 9-8 win.
0-2 the count. And it's in there! A cold strike 3 at 100 miles an hour. Miguel rings the bell, and the Brewers win. They sweep the Minnesota Twins.
Back home tonight, 6:40 for the first of 3 against the Pittsburgh Pirates. NBA last night. Oh, that wasn't the NBA. Sorry.
No, that was the
the
sound of a bat, huh?
That was College World Series. The College World Series wrapping up. LSU with the win. 2025 NCAA Division I Baseball National Championship. The Tigers sweeping Coastal Carolina in the series, winning Game 1, 1-0. Then Game 2 yesterday, 5-3. The 8th championship in program history. They're pretty good at baseball. LSU.
Sounds like it.
Getting the title. In the NBA last night.
The Thunder have taken the NBA by storm. For the first time, the NBA champion resides in Oklahoma City. The storybook season is complete.
Yeah, the Oklahoma City Thunder, after Halliburton went down with a pretty serious injury that's going to keep him out next season. Not sure exactly 100% what it is, but everybody obviously pretty much knows what it is, but they got to do the tests and all that stuff. But after he went down, it was kind of a done deal. It was a no-brainer. But the Oklahoma City Thunder taking home the 2025 NBA championship, the first in the franchise's 17 years in OKC.
That's what I thought. Okay, so they haven't won before, and they came from Seattle. Is that
they
right?
Were the Supersonics, yeah, essentially. 103-91, the final score in Game 7 of the NBA Finals. SGA, the MVP, hoisting the Bill Russell Trophy, awarded to the Finals MVP. So congratulations to him. See if they're favored in the sports books to win it all again next season. The East is going to be tough, man. Jason Tatum is likely going to be out for the Celtics all season long. Tyrese Halliburton going to be out for the Pacers all season long. Damian Lillard, obviously, going to be gone from Milwaukee. Wondering what happened to Giannis, what's going to go. It's just going to be an interesting year for the East in the NBA. Chase Briscoe returning to the victory lane yesterday at Pocono Raceway, stretching the final drops of fuel down the stretch to hold off Denny Hamlin for the third Cup victory in his career. First with his new team, he said, "I've only won 3 races in the Cup Series, right? But this is by far the least enjoyable because it's expected now." You have to go win. Where at SHR, you really felt like you surprised the world if you won. So, yeah, change teams, change cars and all that stuff, and now it's expected, so the winning doesn't feel as special. And the Phoenix Suns have agreed to a blockbuster trade to send 15-time NBA All-Star Kevin Durant to the Rockets for Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, the number 10 pick in this year's upcoming draft, and 5 second-round picks. The trade can be formally completed when the New Year League starts on July 6th, so they have another couple of weeks before they can put the ink on the paper, but that's pretty much a done deal.
I was going to look, too. I was wondering last night when I was watching the Pacer-Oklahoma game, and the price for the tickets of those people that were sitting right behind the bench had to be nuts in Oklahoma on that Game 7 to see that history being made, because it sounds like, with the franchise moving and they haven't won in a long time, cheap seats, okay, $24,000. Okay.
No big deal.
That's
Pocket change. Mere pocket change. It's Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene. We'll get to some KSE, Kill Switch Engage, next.
Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene on your rock station.
What are their names?
You want all 12?
12 names. Go.
All right. This is where I usually get in trouble.
Why? Because you don't know all of them.
I know all of them,
Okay.
but all right, well, here we go. I'll label up for you. See, let's keep me honest. There's rock, roll, golden, powerful, rise, onyx, legendary, Zion, zillion, Zen, and see, this is where how many?
You're missing 2.
I'm missing 2.
What?
Nick Cannon. You know about Nick Cannon?
You do.
Nick Cannon, by the way, has 12 children. 12. Not with the same woman.
Oh, no.
Several different women.
Correct.
And during a recent appearance on the Really Good podcast with Bobby Altoff, Nick Cannon was asked to name all 12 of his kids, and he whiffed. But he did admit right off the bat that he wasn't going to remember them all. He said, look, this is tough for me. I got 12 of them. The ones that he failed to name were his two youngest, a.k.a. the ones that he should probably remember the most because they're fresh in his mind. They're new. The middle ones are the ones that get forgotten, not the beginning and not the end, right? That's the deal with middle kids. They just kind of are the forgotten children.
Or sometimes, I mean, it's very easy to call one kid another kid's name. That just like with pets, that happens all the time. So I could see, like stumbling over a couple, but yeah, you should definitely remember their names. Definitely.
The ones he failed to name were Beautiful Zeppelin, whose mother is Abby De La Rosa, and Halo Marie, who he had with Alyssa Scott.
Also, if they weren't so much, maybe they'd be easier to remember. They're much.
Well, and everybody, sort of is like, what's going on with Nick Cannon? How's he getting all these girls pregnant? Why is he getting all these girls pregnant? Nick Cannon blamed his need to procreate on a king complex, whatever that is. He said, black men, we always be like, what's up, king? I really think I'm the king.
Okay.
So he has to sire a bunch of children to,
and then pay over $3 million in child support annually just so he can feel important.
Bloodline has to continue, I guess. But Nick Cannon asked on a podcast to identify all 12 of his children and came up a little bit short. I wouldn't be able to good. 12 kids. That's why a lot of families do the D names or the H names or the B names or whatever, right? It's a lot easier when you remember what their name starts with.
Yeah, maybe he could have done them in batches. Like this group from this woman starts with E. This group from this.
He needs to come up with a song or some sort of ABC.
Mm-hmm.
Like a song like that. Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, something along those lines. No, All right. American Ninja Warrior on NBC tonight. The Quiz with Balls over on Fox. Yes, Chef. New episode of that on NBC. Also on Watch What Happens Live on Bravo, Arnold Schwarzenegger going to be there answering a bunch of questions.
I want to ask you a bunch of questions. And I want to have them answered immediately.
Yeah.
Immediately.
Fubar, new season of that on Netflix. Arnold Schwarzenegger starring in that. Also, the documentary Giada in My Kitchen premieres on Amazon.
I'm Giada De Laurentiis, and I think I know a thing or two about setting up a great kitchen. Ta-da! So many cooks are stuck with a kitchen that isn't working for them. Excuse me. They're going to give you the kitchen that you've always dreamed of.
Cooking is a labor of love. I love the cohesiveness that's happening in the space right now.
It's going to transform their lives. Are you ready?
Oh, my God.
So it sounds and looks like she's going to people's kitchens and sort of remodeling them as opposed to cooking with them or a competition. She's going in and trying to help them perfect their kitchen so they can have a better time creating in the kitchen.
You mean like rearranging my cabinets or like giving me new cabinets? I'll take that.
Not 100% sure. I'm sure there's a makeover portion of this program.
Oh,
but it's,
a roll-away dishwasher. I've never seen one of those before.
Like, what do you mean? It has wheels? You moving around?
What is this?
What are you, poor?
Oh, we have to help these people.
We're poor. Have you seen the rest of the house?
We have to help these people. They're dishwashers on wheels.
The documentary is called Giada in My Kitchen. It premieres today on Amazon.
It's an Italian dish, so shouldn't we say it properly? Like spaghetti, not spaghetti?
Our guy, Scott Robert Shaw, probably going to be watching some of that.
Some of that in my kitchen.
Also, another documentary. This one is on Hulu. It's called Barbara Walters, Tell Me Everything.
Sitting down with Barbara Walters.
I'm just a normal kid.
Oh, you're a normal kid who killed your parents. No one ever got out totally unscathed.
She asked the question that nobody else had asked.
I know you don't want to talk about guys, and I won't push it, but how are you going to find anybody? You don't really act. You don't sing. You don't dance. You don't have any, forgive me, any talent.
And asked it in a way that always hit a nerve.
Why the tears now, Oprah? Have speed? I was never beautiful. If I'd been a dog, maybe they wouldn't have put me on television. But, nobody ever put me on because I was beautiful or glamorous.
She was fearless,
And sometimes she got under people's skin.
Ever do drugs in front of your child?
My God, what a question.
She could talk to anyone
Why didn't you have your nose fixed?
about anything.
Are you bisexual?
She had a vision that celebrities are news. And she turned out to be right. They were newsmakers.
You never say I made mistakes.
I
You
make
haven't
mistakes.
said it.
I make mistakes.
People
Everybody
don't
makes
think you show any humility.
There you hear at the end interviewing Donald Trump from many years ago. Also interviews with Taylor Swift, the Kardashian portion where
Everyone.
you got no
Who
singing, no
hasn't she?
dancing, no talent. How the hell are you famous? Asking hard questions of very famous people, and they allowed it. You know what I mean? Like Barbara Walters. And so it's called Barbara Walters Tell Me Everything, and it's on Hulu today.
I was in a hot tub with Burt Bacharach, Henry Kissinger, the Captain and Tennille, and that irrepressible funny man, Shecky Green. We drank Mai Tais and speculated about the Vietnam War till little Burgess Meredith entered the tub and asked if we'd like to meet his new friend, Mary Jane.
That didn't happen.
Barbara Walters Tell Me Everything on Hulu today. Late night shows are new. Charlize Theron is going to be on with Jimmy Fallon. So is Lucas Nelson and Jensen Ackles. Jimmy Kimmel's new with Patton Oswalt. Guest host, however, tonight, Diego Luna, stepping in for Kimmel. Neza, the girl who performed the national anthem at the Dodgers game in Spanish, even though she was told not to, she's apparently going to be performing on Kimmel tonight. Stephen Colbert new with Idris Elba and Brad Lander. And then Seth Meyers has got Uma Thurman and Maddie Matheson as his guests this evening. Not a lot of time for watching TV over the weekend. We caught up on a couple of episodes of This, That, and the Other Thing yesterday, but most of my time was spent outdoors at a concert. So more on that a bit later on. I'll recap my weekend back and forth between La Crosse and Eau Claire.
Yeah, we didn't actually watch very much either. Watched some of the Thunder games.
Weren't you going to go to the movies because of the air conditioning?
Yeah, but with going to visit my mom and coming back, we couldn't. We did watch on Friday night the new Sarah Silverman stand-up Netflix with talking about the loss of her father and her stepmom, which I thought was, I thought it was funny and poignant and sad and all of those things, but a nice reflection of their life. But other than that, we didn't even watch anything Saturday night, I don't think. No.
Yeah, we caught up on a couple episodes of Gordon Ramsay's new show yesterday morning. And then we finished up the final episode of that show, Good American Family, the one about the Ukrainian girl that got adopted that they thought was a 23-year-old or whatever. But that was yesterday when after we had gotten home and unpacked and we're just sitting around waiting for the Lager game. Yeah, so...
By the way, Eau Claire and La Crosse setting records this weekend.
Not surprising.
Both set record warm, low temperatures, so the night temperatures. For both nights was 82 Saturday into Sunday morning, and that's a record, by the way, for it being that high. Today we're looking at scattered showers and storms developing later on, and it looks like we could get some significant rain. 1 to 2 inches easily in that, as long as the pattern holds still, with areas getting 3 or more over the next day or two. So a little bit cooler and some rain moving into the area, but some records set over the weekend.
Yeah, it was awful. It was so hot. So damn hot.
It was very warm. I can't imagine how awful it would have been if it hadn't had the breeze and the wind that kept constantly, at least attempting to cool things off a bit. But yes, it was. We knew going into the weekend it was going to be like that, and it sure was.
Now, if you've got the 95.7 The Rock app on your phone, there is an open mic section on the bottom of the app, right there on the menu tab. It says home, then open mic, and then podcasts. And if you hit the open mic, you can record a message for us, and that's what Doc did earlier this morning.
What's up, Rock Morning listeners? Doc here, and I cannot wait to see you all this Friday night at the Big River Rally featuring Texas Hippie Coalition. Yo, Simpson, press play and give them a taste of what they're going to see this Friday night.
Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene. Find them online at rockmornings.com.
Met a guy this weekend who had never seen Metallica before and absolutely could not believe how many times I had gone and seen Metallica.
Well, if you're in the 0 column, then yeah, probably.
Yeah. Well, he had, he and when he found out what I did for work, he kind of understood. I said, look, I've been in radio for, the better part of 30 years now. And so, yeah, I've had the opportunity to go see them, but I started going to concerts when I was much younger. And so, I've been blessed to be able to see them over 60 times, and he couldn't believe it. He's like, I think the most I've ever seen one band is 3 times. I was like,
was it Fish?
No, I don't. No, it was not. A couple of bird-related stories. I was at Maximum Load Fireworks in Dodge last week.
I know. I remember Bert and
hanging out with Bert and Darcy and the rest of the kids.
Petting zoo.
And they've got so not only do they sell a ton of fireworks and the best fireworks, they also have a petting zoo, and they've got a fairy garden and all sorts of other stuff. So they've got a pig, they've got a sheep that named Theo that has grown from I could hold him in my hands to couldn't fit him in the back of the pickup truck now. He's massive. I'm guessing he's almost due for a shearing too. He looked pretty full when I got up there. They've got they got a couple of goats. There's a bunch of guinea pigs. They have a wallaby this year, a part-time employee named Sophia the wallaby. She is very cute. It's like a mini kangaroo.
Yeah, no, I know.
And then they also have a bunch of ducks and chickens just kind of running around. So I was around some birds recently. Didn't have any crazy stories to tell about them, but the Animal Rescue League of Iowa saving a lost chicken that was hanging out in front of a Buffalo Wild Wings last week.
So it wandered away from its farm or its enclosure. If it wasn't on a farm, maybe it was a backyard chicken doing backyard chicken stuff, and it walked away from its friends and its coop, and then it just ended up walking down the street and the sidewalk and checking out the city nightlife, and ended up at B-dubs.
Yeah, maybe had a few too many and was looking to see if he could get some late night noms. This was in Des Moines on the south side. In a post on their Facebook page, the ARL, the Animal Rescue League of Iowa, says the confused hen is now safe and getting the care that she needs. The bird currently not up for adoption. But ARL said they have many that are. You can, of course, go to their website to find out more about the ARL, the Animal Rescue League of Iowa. A funny little tidbit about a lost chicken that got sidetracked and ended up in front of a Buffalo Wild Wings last week.
I bet her owners were glad to get her back. Probably left a backyard enclosure and just wandered a little ways.
Their post on Facebook said, "What the cluck?" Talk about a chicken on the wrong side of the road. Luckily, an ARL Animal Services officer was called to rescue this poor, confused hen from in front of the Buffalo Wild Wings in Des Moines. She's now safe and receiving the care she needs. Interesting in adding to your flock, while this hen isn't currently available for adoption, we have many others who are.
Oh, they have adoptable ones too? Jeez.
I guess, yeah. Well, it's Iowa, man.
Overrun with chickens.
They barely have internet down there, okay?
Oh, you're kidding. Stop.
I've been to Iowa, man. They don't have a lot. It's like one city.
No, it's not like that actually at all. But thanks.
In another bird-related story, not surprising here, not the first time, won't be the last either, but a foul-mouthed parrot in Massachusetts is in the news because he won't stop swearing, but a ton of people want the parrot. They want to adopt this parrot. Well, why wouldn't you want a foul-mouthed parrot? It's hilarious. Hey, check out my parrot. F you. Someone surrendered him to an animal shelter. He keeps dropping 4-letter words. More than 50 people from all over the U.S. and Canada have now filled out forms to adopt this parrot.
We try not to react because we don't want to encourage it. There's times we have to leave the room to laugh. He was being fed human cereal, white bread. That's why he's missing most of his feathers. It's malnutrition. If you call him a pretty bird, he'll say thank you. Other than the niceties, that's as far as the niceties go. The rest of it is slurs, cusses, things I can't repeat on camera. The first time I heard him drop the MFR word, it was the first thing I thought of was snakes on a plane. We didn't want somebody to bring him home, and then all of a sudden he starts throwing slurs around, and you had no idea you were getting into this.
Yeah, you got to know in advance. You can't bring that home. But it's like a toddler. When a toddler learns a favorite new word.
And they're trying not to laugh.
And you're trying not to laugh because you don't want to encourage the behavior, but it's hard, right?
So they're leaving the room when the parrot says this stuff to try to not... And they live for like ever, don't they? Like 80, 90. I mean,
they
this
can
is a
get pretty old.
commitment to take on
the
an
rated R parrots surrendered 2 months ago to the Forever Paws Animal Shelter in Fall River, Massachusetts. Blue and gold macaw. He was an owner surrender through animal control. We aren't sure if the details surrounding the surrender, considering the supplies or lack thereof he came in with, we're thinking it was financial difficulties, but it sounds like the owner wasn't taking very good care of this bird, obviously, feeding him stuff that wasn't good for his diet, and that's why he's got some problems with his feathers. And then, of course, swearing and cussing and teaching this bird all sorts of nasty words.
Shut up. Quiet. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up. Be quiet. Shut up.
That is a parrot from years ago that did not like the family cat and kept telling it to shut the F up. So, again, not the first time, definitely won't be the last time that we've heard about a bird that learns a few choice pieces of language. The bird, believed to be about age 30, had been with its previous owner for at least 20 years. Species can live to, up to 100 years old in captivity if they are cared for properly.
Hey, Brian Fellow.
That bird is a liar.
I'm Brian Fellow.
He's starting to make me mad. He better shut up.
But
well, surrendered, that's good, and hopefully can find a new home that can take care of him. And 20 years is a long time to have a pet, and if they ran into difficulties or they aged out of it or couldn't afford, the life that the parrot needs, or macaw, I guess, then this is good.
Got a text from Danny. Said over 60 times is impressive. The best I've seen, or the band I've seen the most is Disturbed, and it's only 6 times. Yeah, and again, I've had a lot more opportunity.
Well, they're also your favorite band, so you're
my
take
very favorite bands. I take every opportunity. I have friends who are are also Metallica fans that I can go with on a regular basis. And then again, with my job in radio, it's always been a little bit more easy to find time for that stuff. So yeah, thank you, Danny. Appreciate it. Speaking of bands, speaking of concerts, coming up in just a few minutes, I will recap my back and forth weekend from La Crosse to Eau Claire. Mm-hmm. Going to see Summer Jam and back here for a grand reopening, and then back up there for Summer Jam, and then back down here for a longer game. Just busy.
Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene. Start your day with Rock Mornings.
What is it about parrots and birds? Every time we talk about them, I feel like we get...
Did we get some communication about it?
A bunch of communication about birds.
Because they're funny and interesting, I think. It's the ability to talk and communicate and have that be a thing. Real words.
My buddy Autumn, the truck driver, said President Andrew Jackson's parrot had to be removed from his funeral because of the swearing.
They learn what they hear?
If that's the case, then I got to get a parrot, because that sounds like a hell of a lot of fun. Teach that thing some stuff it's never heard before. Also, Pickle sent me a message, said, my buddy's parrot says Packers rule. I say they suck, then it attacks me.
I've never been much of a bird person, but the videos that I watch of people that have them and
well, they seem like loving and
yes, and they take care of them so interestingly, and it's a really great relationship, so that intrigues me. But I'm good watching videos of other people and their birds.
It's Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene. On Thursday of last week, I left after the show was over. Went up to Eau Claire.
Mm-hmm. We heard about it on Friday night. You had a nice day at your hotel and enjoyed it.
Yeah, we got there a little bit late. I had a rock stop on Thursday afternoon, and then after that went home and picked up the wife and got everything packed up and headed to Eau Claire and got checked in. Again, the Staybridge Inn and Suites was just chef's kiss, awesome. What a great place to stay. Wife and I just thoroughly enjoyed both the times that we've stayed there. The first time we had that a real suite where there was 2 bedrooms and we had our separate.
It's a nice place.
Yeah,
and an interesting location in town. You got some food.
Yeah, and so it's kind of over by it's by one of the highways, obviously, and it's technically in Altoona, but behind it, and there's a ton of really new buildings and businesses and stuff. There's a big, huge Quick Trip that's over there. There's a Cabin Coffee or something. There's an Edward Jones. There's a bunch of apartments and stuff, and then in the back, down by the river, there's a river walk, and there's an amphitheater or something. And we didn't go back there during the day. We went there at night after we had gotten done at Summer Jam. But there's a bunch of restaurants and bars and stuff. And so there's a really cool, highfalutin wine bar that we went to called Helix. There's a place called Cowboy Jack's, which is like a restaurant, it feels like a chain restaurant. They might have more than one location, but we went in there a couple of times for some food and some beers. But anyway, so we got there Thursday night, checked in, went down to Cowboy Jack's, had a bite to eat and some beers, and then Friday got up, did the show live with you in the morning, and then Friday after I got done with the program, went over to Princeton Valley Golf Course and had a Talk Birdie to Me golf outing. It's a 9-hole course. It's beautiful, by the way. Really good shape. Yeah, and we had a blast. 18 teams. It was totally sold out. Similar kind of concepts. Everybody golfing, having a good time, drinking beers. Got done, had a meal, gave away some prizes. We did a 50-50, and I got to say, congratulations to the guy who won it. And not only did he win it and won it with style, but he also returned all the money for the 50-50 because it goes to help out a bunch of veterans charities. Nick Howison of Howison Renovations was the big winner there and gave back the cash. So thank you so much, Nick Howison from Howison Renovations. That was extremely nice of you. Thank you so much. Hopefully you had a good time and going to do it again. Got plans to improve and do some different stuff next year, and it seemed like everybody had a good time. And
that's always great.
Weather-wise on Friday, it wasn't too bad. It was nice. It wasn't too terribly hot. And then after that, we, of course, went over to Summer Jam in the afternoon after we got done with the golf tournament. We ended up going to the VFW for a drink or two, hanging out with some people. And then after that, we, of course, went over to Summer Jam, saw Gavin DeGraw. We missed Everclear, unfortunately. We didn't get there in time, but we caught Gavin DeGraw, and he was good. Soulful, Americana kind of guy. Told a couple of funny stories while he was on stage. After him, it was the band Live. We got to go backstage and meet Ed, the lead singer of Live.
So they were good.
And they were great. Fantastic. And then it was going to be Lynyrd Skynyrd, and we dipped before Lynyrd Skynyrd. Just not long day, not really my jam. Had to get up early on Saturday as well. So rather than be there till 11:30 at night and fight traffic and be hungover and super tired, I figured let's get out of here and go back to the hotel. So yeah, we did that.
Came back to La Crosse on Saturday for
Saturday morning at Great River Harley Davidson with Brody and John and the entire staff and doing burnouts in the parking lot. We had the hog roast from Matt, Premier Catering. He brought a whole hog. My wife was when she didn't. I don't know.
She'd never seen that before? Or
not in person. And it's not like she was like, oh, I didn't know you could do that. It was more just...
Yeah, I've never seen this.
Right. So he cranks up the top of this thing, and the hog's in there, and the ribs are all exposed because the meat's, drawn back, and she was just kind of like, oh, whoa. And it was delicious as hell, though. I tell you that hog was fantastic. So, yeah, and kudos to Brody and Great River Harley Davidson, their 4th anniversary. They had the Congressman Derek Van Orden stop by and deliver some words, and they had a bunch of people from all throughout the area come in. They had some heavy hitting brass from Harley Davidson, like the up and up people from Milwaukee.
Open a new story, remodel like that.
Yeah. So and they had a ton of giveaways and some live music, and even though it was just awful hot, people were out having a good time, and they were very happy to be inside with the air conditioning, and so it was a blast. And then after that, we ran back to Eau Claire. And Saturday was, I got to be honest, it was a bit of a struggle. It was, had a few beers after, we hadn't had any drinks until we got to Summer Jam, had a couple of beers, and then they had, in the VIP section, they had free food, a meal. And so we went through the line, and it was very heavy on the carbs. There was cheese stuffed tortellinis, and there was also like a bacon mac and cheese.
And you're like, dude, it's
and then there was also like a
degrees.
deep fried shrimp. And so I pounded this food, and which is just about, and it's of course 9,000 degrees outside, and the VIP had plenty of shade, but you can't escape the heat. There's just nowhere to go. And so I was just, for about an hour, I was like, I just can't. But we got there in time to see Wang Chung. They were fun. Obviously, everybody have fun tonight. Everybody Wang Chung tonight. They look old. They don't look like the guys in the videos.
I bet.
And they got a huge screen behind them, and they're playing all these videos from
and you're like
the 80s, and you're like, which one is which? But they sounded good. They performed their hits. They did Dance All Days, and they did Everybody Have Fun Tonight, and they had a couple of tunes from some soundtracks. To Live and Die in L.A., they had a song on the Breakfast Club soundtrack as well. And then we were sort of trying to cool off a little bit and relax. They had Marshall Tucker Band. That was when we went out and kind of walked around the grounds to see what else they had. They had some vendors obviously lined up. They had they have this high country building that they built. Went inside, and it's air conditioned, but it's not super duper cold. But it is nice to get out. They had, full bar in there. They had a bunch of artists painting, pictures and stuff. And then they had a battle of the bands up there in between some of the bands later in the evening. We weren't up there for that. Radio stations are in there giving away swag and stuff like that. And then Rick Springfield played. And did you know that he's like 75?
I knew he was probably in there, but it's like a Tom Cruise thing, isn't it? It's like
it is. As much as I don't like his radio show on the 80s on 8, and I think it's just it's as a radio professional who's done it for years, it's a hack job. And he's not a radio guy. They're just paying him money because he's a name, and I get all that. But it's like I have a problem listening to it. Every time it infuriates me. Anyways, the guy came out and ripped. I mean, like, he just bam, hit it, and, it was awesome. And then we went over to watch a little bit of it, and he's out. He left the stage. He went all the way through the crowd. God. He went all the way up into the cheap seats, up the hill. He went up onto the party decks. He came back. He was singing the whole time. Then he took his shirt off afterwards to Jesse's girl.
That's what I'm looking at.
And dude's yoked. He's like a 75 yoked. And the funny part is he comes out and you can see him doing the peck thing, too. Yeah. And he's like showing off. Yeah. And I was like, hell yeah, man. If he got it, flaunt it. Rick Springfield. Yeah, it was crazy. So after him, it was Collective Soul. And they were fantastic.
I bet.
Played all the hits. It was great.
Every song's a hit.
Yeah. Told a funny story about their first record contract. And going out on tour, their first tour with Aerosmith, and played a little bit of an Aerosmith tune to sort of pay homage to the band for giving them a chance very early in their career. And then the Black Crowes wrapped things up, and they were fine. The sun had gone down, it had cooled off. I was feeling better. The beers were flowing a little bit faster, and it was a hell of a scene. So Summer Jam was, I thought it was 2 thumbs up. A little bit lightly attended. I don't know if the weather played a big factor in that. It probably did, but we met a bunch of people. The VIP section was nice. Offered plenty of shade. The one thing that was cool about the VIP that I thought at Summer Jam was instead of just doing 2 meals, they had a whole snack bar area where they had different stuff that they were making the entire afternoon. So if you didn't feel like eating a heavy meal, you could go over and get some egg rolls or some onion rings or whatever, and ice cream. And they had water and stuff and Gatorade, so they kept you hydrated. And yeah, it was too effing hot, man. It was just brutal. Absolutely brutal.
It was a little hot.
So awful. I told my wife, I'm like, I don't know, man. I'm struggling here. I'm struggling. That hotel room's calling my name with that 64-degree temperature. It was brutal.
Yeah, well, the energy company's locking down AC on Saturday and Sunday.
Not at my house.
Emergency order was in place. Well, what they say, we set a record. 82 degrees was the low in La Crosse and Eau Claire. That was a record for both communities for the low Saturday into Sunday.
Yeah, had a good time, though. Very good time, and enjoyed Summer Jam. I will say, funny that I almost say Summerfest. The funny part to me was there was a guy that was emceeing, a radio DJ. I don't remember who it was, but he goes up there, and they were trying to do a picture with all the people in the crowd, and he's like, "What's up, Summerfest?" And I'm like, "Ooh." Well, I was like,
hot music, people, food.
Yeah, got away from him. That's okay. Slip of the tongue. It happens. Sports is coming up. We'll get to that after Disturbed.
Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene. Find the daily podcast at rockmornings.com.
That, of course, is Disturbed on Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene. The Brew Crew with a nice sweep of the Twins this weekend. Back at home tonight. 6:40 first pitch for the first of 3 against the Pittsburgh Pirates. Thunder winning the NBA championship last night in Game 7, 103-91 final score. LSU winning the College World Series, sweeping Coastal Carolina in the best-of-3 series. Chase Briscoe getting the win at Pocono yesterday in NASCAR. Badgers apparently dropping their lawsuit against Miami. A allegedly tampering with cornerback Xavier Lucas during the 2024 season. A lawsuit accusing the Hurricanes of tortuous interference. But seems like they have dropped that lawsuit now, so the Badgers are moving on from that. Apparently it wasn't so torturous after all. Am I saying that right? Tortious? Tortuous? Yeah. John Bones Jones, widely considered to be the greatest mixed martial artist of all time, has apparently retired from competition. CEO Dana White informing fans that John Bones Jones called him up, said he was retiring.
Was it something they expected?
No, kind of out of left field, because they were working on a fight. They were trying to book a heavyweight title unification match between Jones and the interim champion, Tom Aspinall. But with Jones' sudden retirement, Aspinall now elevated to the undisputed champion. Dana White said the UFC will work with Aspinall next week on booking his first title defense. Bucks guard Pat Connaughton exercising his $9.4 million player option for next season. He had a deadline of Tuesday, tomorrow, to make that decision on the option, and he made it, said, give me that money. And television ratings for the Stanley Cup final rematch between the Panthers and the Oilers declining from their first matchup a year ago. Average of 2.5 million viewers on TNT, with 2.8 million tuning in for the Panthers series clinching Game 6 win. The overall number on cable down from 4.17 million last year when the final was on over-the-air TV on ABC, and it was the lowest since Tampa Bay versus Montreal in 2021. So NHL having a little bit of trouble with their television product. Sports on Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene. We'll get to some nothing more in just a couple of minutes. Don't go anywhere.
Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene. Weekdays, 6 to 9.
Nothing more with Free Fall on Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene. There's a startup company called Cluely, 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 which apparently boasts that it can help everyone cheat on everything.
Like your taxes?
And it's raised a lot of investment money, like $15 million. The two founders of Cluely apparently kicked out of Columbia University for creating a tool called Interview Coder that helped engineers cheat on technical interviews. Now, again, this is all way above my pay grade. Not quite sure exactly what all this stuff is actually doing out there, but it uses an undetectable AI to coach people through virtual interviews and calls, basically telling them what to say. So rather than being prepared and knowing what to say and having answers that come out of your own brain, this AI, Cluely, will feed you the words.
And this is in interviews? Potential job
Likely
interviews?
Some practical uses, like maybe helping people in negotiations, giving people information in real time that can make meetings and conversations more efficient. But obviously, when you start talking about AI telling humans what to say verbatim, it feels a little bit Terminator-ish. They are embracing that, by the way, describing it as cheating. You're cheating the system by having AI working for you to tell you what to say so you know what the right answer is every single time. For now, sounds like it's mostly a desktop tool, which can be used to cheat at everything from exams to job interviews, even sales calls for work. You could also use it in your personal life, apparently, like online dating. You could basically trick someone into thinking you know a lot about one of their interests, like art, when you're really just reading off a script.
How many movies have been based on this, where the friend is telling the friend, feeding them the answers because they aren't really good with the opposite sex? So the charismatic friend is pretending to be that one, and then they fall in love, but it really isn't that person because it was the other person who was giving them all the answers.
Cluely also releasing a video suggesting that their tools could someday be used in person on an actual date with some sort of interface, whether, it's a earpiece or glasses.
Julie, I'll be with you in a minute. I got to answer this question.
Yeah.
So, how old did you say you were?
I'm 30.
30 years old.
Really?
I know I look a little young for my age. I promise you, I'm 30 years old.
Here's your glass of rosé. And
Thank you.
sorry, we couldn't verify your ID. So here's a grape juice for you.
I know I lied about my age. I'm sorry. You're just like the most gorgeous girl ever, and you're such an unbelievably talented artist. Do you think you can just give me like one chance to show you I can make this work?
Can you give me some time to think about it? Are you free sometime next week?
Ooh, actually, next week I have this anime convention I gotta go to with my boys. Do you think you could do like next month, maybe?
Anime convention with my boys. Good luck, dude. Good luck. Cluely is apparently the name of this new AI that they're crowdsourcing. They're raising a lot of investment funds for this thing, and I'm good.
Well, I'm not giving them money to help them figure it out.
Signing our own death warrant, man. This whole AI thing. Just waiting for it to take over.
Well, it feels like that, like a friend telling you all the right answers to make you sound more interesting. Helping you along.
Yeah, by cheating on the test. It's like Bill Murray in Groundhog Day. How did he know so much about her? Well, because he lived a million days and learned, right? That doesn't mean that he understood her, that he cared. He just was trying to, like, butter her up for what he wanted, you know, as opposed to actually delving into that and finding out what her interests are and listening to her and caring about that stuff. It was just more like, do I have the answers to the test? Why was he so impressive watching Jeopardy? He knew all the answers. He had seen it a million times. Cluely, Cluely. If you want to help them out, pay them money to take over the world with their AI.
Check them out.
Are your kids into this stuff? Your son must be a little bit, right? I mean, he's a gamer
I've
nerd.
used it to help me a lot, write different things, but not to necessarily answer questions for a test or get to know people in
Are
relationships.
you using AI in the studio when I'm around?
I am not right now.
What is it doing in our studio? Like, what are you using it for?
All sorts of different writing tasks and suggestions, and
I guess I don't get it. You can't do that on your own?
you can. But sometimes
Isn't it
it's
just
helpful.
as much of a process to make the AI do it for you?
No. We can play around with it.
No, I'm not touching it. I want nothing to do with it. I want nothing to do with it at all. I want zero to do with it.
Cluely.
Cluely, Cluely.
Got it.
Nikki with a text says, how does AI help when you have to give actual examples of something that you did or handled a situation? Well, if it's working in real time, it just cheats. That's why it's called cheating. It's not real. Unbelievable. Lincoln Park.
Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene. Find them online at rockmornings.com.
Any of your kids going for a big boy job anytime soon?
No, big boys and girl school. Oh, that's not true.
I mean, school interviews, obviously, like stuff like that. But I'm talking like dream job, big job.
Oh, no, not like that. Jobs, all a job.
Yeah. Working in a sub shop or whatever it is. But I'm talking
youth
like
camps, that kind of stuff.
I'm talking job, like
big time interview,
career job.
No.
Yeah,
No.
got to have a suit, got to have a resume, got to have all that stuff. No, none of that.
Not yet.
Not yet. Maybe sometime soon.
Couple years, at least.
Right. New survey asking today's workforce about the non-negotiable perks that they're looking for. Like, I will not take this job unless I have these perks. Non-negotiable. These are not, I will not negotiate. And also the most important stuff is apparently health benefits and financial security.
That makes sense. I just saw the bill for 4 wisdom teeth being extracted.
Yeah. Well,
health insurance is important.
I saw the Sky Rizzy bill. $21,000 for a shot. That sumbitch works, though. I'll tell you what. They say that paid overtime is the top non-negotiable benefit.
As opposed
76% of people in the survey in today's workforce say that it's a must-have. Can you imagine Jesus Christ. The hell is overtime?
But so this is not necessarily people entering the workforce. This is people in the workforce as well saying this is important to them.
Right, but also requirements that people are looking for when they're searching for that
So they're
career.
saying, hey, if I'm going to work 80 hours.
You're going to pay me for those, and those 40 extra hours are going to be time and a half or double time or whatever. Paid sick leave next on the list of the most important non-negotiable perks. I don't even know if that's a perk. I mean, if you're in a job that's paying hourly, then overtime is not a perk. That's,
sick time, vacation time. A lot of places just lump that all together.
I think of a perk as like, there's a
gym membership or something.
Yeah, or there's a company car you can take or something, or if there's a
not a sick day
kitchen, and you know what I mean. If there's a kitchen in there, you get a free breakfast every morning or something. Something that isn't typically thought of as part of the exchange of goods for services, right? Like I work here, so I'm getting overtime when I get paid hourly, right? That's just the deal.
Or sick time.
Or sick time if, it's part of, it's just kind of comprehensive health insurance packages. 73% of people say that is a non-negotiable
I'm
perk.
surprised that isn't higher, actually.
Well, when you think of the list, overtime, then, the sick days, and then the health insurance. Yeah. Some of these people maybe don't know how much it costs to go to the hospital and pay for that stuff. 401k or retirement package comes in at number 4 with 67%. And then comprehensive dental, 59% of people say that's another one.
Any of those things, all of those things.
Dental, yeah. Noticeable difference in this survey between men and women. Financial security, top priority for men, with 28% of men saying they consider stock and investment options to be essential, compared to just 22% of women. 20% of men say that financial planning and counseling is a must-have versus only 15% of women. That'd be something that'd be nice. And company come in and I think
help
we had
with those kinds of things.
Well, I think we had a little bit of that when we had our when you sign up for the 401k or whatever the hell it is, and talk to somebody about where that stuff goes. Women prioritizing supportive, inclusive benefits, family needs, workplace culture. 36% of the women in the survey said that the comprehensive maternity and paternity leave are essential perks, whereas just 27% of men agree with that. But yeah, there's obviously differences based on your gender or your age, but overtime, number 1. Paid overtime, non-negotiable. Again, I don't consider those perks. Those are just part of working somewhere, right? Isn't that just...
Well, the comprehensive health care is really important.
Yeah, obviously. Especially in this day and age. Everything's so damn expensive. Bad news, happy music coming up a bit later on. Got the friggin' sports in a few minutes as well. Stone Temple Pilots, now it's Plush.
Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene. More from Brian and Gene is coming up.
The acoustic version of Plush from Stone Temple Pilots from their Unplugged performance on MTV back in the day. Love that version. Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene, the friggin' sports. Brought to you by a couple of guys who are had a rough weekend. Giants, San Francisco Giants, said that Major League Baseball is looking into allegations of abuse made by the wife of their reliever, Sean Jelly. Caroline Jelly, his wife, made a post on TikTok on Friday of her with the couple's 2 children and a caption that said, "When my MLB husband abandons us on Mother's Day, a week after this video was taken, once I finally found out about his affairs and stopped putting up with his abuse, so I've been raising 2 boys alone." Jelly said after Saturday's game that he had no comment on the allegations, adding that he and his wife are in the process of finalizing their divorce.
Ouch.
He said, "I feel confident in saying that I will have one statement eventually. I don't have an exact timeline on that, but I would like to actually meet with the people that are handling the situation with me for me before I actually make an official statement." But yeah, she put him on blast on Friday. And
sure did.
Major League Baseball looking into the allegations, and of course he had to issue a brief statement, but I'm not going to expand upon that until everything's said and done. And another guy who had a kind of rough weekend was St. Louis Cardinals broadcaster Chip Carey, grandson of the late great Harry Carey. Apparently not going to be disciplined, and I can see why. It was an innocent slip of the tongue, but when these things happen, as someone who swears on the radio all the time over there, it can really set you back. Right, Gene?
What happened?
Chip Carey using a anti-gay slur on air. The offending term came in the top of the fourth inning against the Reds, with Chip Carey reading a promo for the Cardinals' Disability Pride Night.
Disability Pride Night is Thursday, July 10th, and with the theme ticket, fans take home a Cardinals cap featuring the Disability Pride flag and Cardinals in Braille. Details at cardinals.com/theme.
Obviously, we beeped it out, but if you hear the word flag with an L, you can imagine what the slur was, which he realized immediately and corrected. Appeared to realize what he had done, and then there was about 30 seconds of silence there afterwards before he was heard again. Carey, the son of broadcaster Skip Carey, grandson of Hall of Fame broadcaster Harry Carey, in his third season as the Cardinals play-by-play man. Regularly working in MLB broadcasting since the 90s, so he's been around for quite some time, most notably for his dad's old Atlanta Braves team and his grandfather's old Cubs team, but now he's with the Cardinals, and a little slip of the tongue, and not going to be punished or penalized or disciplined for that. Again, not one of those hot mic incidents.
Happened.
Yeah, but still, like...
Yeah, it's a bad one to happen.
Yeah. The friggin' sports on Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene. Bad News, Happy Music is coming up in just a bit.
Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene. Find them online at rockmornings.com.
You're about to enter a beautiful, exciting, wonderful new world.
A cockroach living in your nostril. Now that's just nasty. Add in some haven't pooped for 30 days.
Poop is raining from the ceilings. Poop.
And sprinkle in some hashtag Florida Man for flavor.
Florida man.
Florida man.
Florida man. Florida man. Florida man.
Florida man.
Florida man quits his Burger King job, steals all of their chicken nuggets.
It's bad news.
Bad news.
With happy music.
Let's rock.
Winnie the Pooh, Donald Duck, Brianna Laird.
Are these characters that have turned into murderers?
No.
Oh, because I thought the Winnie the Pooh was like a horror movie now.
Winnie the Pooh, Donald Duck, Brianna Laird. What do they have in common, Gene? What are those three things?
Know. Well, my original thought was that Winnie the Pooh, they made that into a horror movie. And didn't the Donald Duck, wasn't that on the boat recent? Oh, that was Mickey Mouse. Yeah.
Winnie the Pooh, Donald Duck, Brianna Laird.
No pants? No shirt?
Ding.
No pants.
What does it mean when you're Donald Ducking it?
Yeah, no pants.
You got a shirt on, but you ain't got no pants on. Same as Winnie the Pooh. And that's what Brianna Laird was doing the other day. A week ago, last Monday, about 4:30 in the morning.
By choice?
In a very small town in Iowa. Is it Bussy or Busey? Bussy, B-U-S-S-E-Y?
I'd
Bussy,
probably
Iowa?
say Busey, but...
I think it's Bussy. Police got a call about a naked woman setting an American flag on fire. Cops responded, found 21-year-old Brianna Laird with an American flag tied around her head. She was not wearing pants or underwear.
Was the flag really on fire?
Full Donald Ducking it. The flags were stolen from the city. So these are like maybe from Memorial Day, maybe getting ready for 4th of July, maybe in a veterans park, something along those lines. Probably on display around town. Unclear why Brianna was burning the flags, but cops found evidence of drug use. She was also kicking the officers. They tried to restrain her. She was charged with arson.
Yeah! Look what I have created! I have made fire!
Also charged with assault, theft, possession of drug paraphernalia, desecration of a flag, and indecent exposure for the no pants dance.
No shorts either. No little skirt or nothing. Just a...
Brianna was also, by the way, on probation for a 2023 marijuana possession conviction, and in 2022 she was convicted of driving under the influence. So Brianna is setting up for a life of hardship by burning flags, doing drugs, and driving drunk. All while Donald Ducking it.
And no pants. Not even a bikini bottom? Nothing. Just
nothing.
All right.
Speaking of cartoon characters, police in Oregon Looking for a 42-year-old man who got into a high-speed chase near Portland on Friday. And it's very popular on social media because the guy's name is...
Police still searching for the driver accused of firing shots at officers during a pursuit this morning. The man's name is Looney Tune. Police consider him armed and dangerous.
K2 Shelby Slaughter joins us live in the Eastmoreland neighborhood where this happened. And Shelby, first question, and it's on everybody's mind right now, is that actually the suspect's name?
So his full name is Looney John Franklin Tune.
Now, as a person who has legally changed his name in the past, I can tell you that for $25, you could probably go down to the courthouse,
have it be whatever you want,
fill out a piece of paper, and then when you sit in front of the judge and he says, why are you changing your name to Looney John Franklin Tune? As long as he doesn't see any real reason not to do it, he'll stamp your paper and change your name.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, high-speed chase with the cops. His full legal name is Looney John Franklin Tune. Cops pulled him over at about 2:45 on Friday, saw him weaving through traffic, realized he had a felony warrant out for his arrest. They put a spike strip in front of his wheels to stop him from driving off, but he threw his SUV into reverse, rammed into the cop car, then drove over the spikes and sped off anyways. He fired several shots while driving away, but didn't hit anybody.
Looney's got some issues, huh?
He eventually abandoned his SUV, ran onto a golf course and got away, but a woman in his passenger seat was detained at the time. Last we heard, they are still looking for Looney Tune in Portland, Oregon.
And that's all, folks.
Yeah.
That was, can you imagine some Benny Hill music with all of that? With the driving the thing and the jumping out in the golf course and the stuff?
And the spikes and the abandoning and the SUV, yeah. A Rocky Mount woman filing a lawsuit against her former employer, Truist Bank, claiming that they harassed her with a doll from the Chucky films and also discriminated against her because of her disabilities. The woman suing Truist Bank in May, claiming she was had been harassed with a Chucky doll made from the 1988 horror movie, Child's Play, of course. The doll, possessed by a dying murderer, goes on a killing spree. Lawsuit claimed that during the woman's last week of training at Truist Bank in June of last year, her manager deliberately placed the doll in her chair. She stated that the manager was aware of her fear of dolls in general, not just the Chucky doll, which he had shared during a team cookout at his home, and how the fear negatively affected her disabilities, which included generalized anxiety disorder, major depressive disorder, and the autoimmune disorder of vitiligo, which is vitiligo. Right? That's a skin thing?
Yes.
Lawsuit also claimed the manager laughed after seeing the woman's reaction. The woman said she was treated by her medical provider on the same day of the Chucky doll incident, was placed on a medical leave for 8 weeks to treat her disabilities. Also, she said she was also newly diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder after the Chucky doll incident.
I don't know what I'm going to say about that.
The woman was apparently cleared to return to work in August of last year with an approved reasonable accommodation to leave work at 3 p.m., 3 times per week for treatment for her autoimmune disorder. The lawsuit said the treatments were for flare-ups that started as a result of the Chucky doll incident. This is not a ongoing thing. It was like a one-time thing. The Chucky doll popped up, and then all this stuff's got to happen. Upon returning to work, she was apparently given a new manager and a new office, said she was treated differently than the coworkers when she made mistakes and believed it was due to her disabilities, yada, yada, yada. All from a Chucky doll.
I don't like them either, but that's a lot. Probably are getting treated different.
Apparently got terminated.
Probably all those things, I'm guessing.
Caused a bunch of panic episodes. Yeah. Now she's suing. There's drunk, and then there's this guy.
Okay.
California Highway Patrol says they did not need to do a field sobriety test after a man crashed his car through a brick wall, and then when they showed up, he fell asleep on the hood of the patrol car. Not like this.
Not like this. Using the window as a...
No, not like this where he's leaning over. Or
no,
he's
like sitting on his bed.
You got to see the picture. You got to see it. This is in Fresno. California Highway Patrol says a man was arrested on suspicion of driving under the influence after they say he crashed through a brick wall and ended up in a backyard. The car continued through the yard after it went through the brick wall, coming to rest inches away from a children's play structure.
Oh.
Obviously, no kids were in it at the time.
Yeah.
Driver not hurt. Officers say he was so intoxicated that he slept on the hood of their patrol car, making a field sobriety test unnecessary.
Dude, you got to wake up. Dude, you got to wake up.
Went to jail, faces, obviously, lots of expenses between the attorney, the courtroom fees, fines, not to mention damages to the property and the car, all that stuff.
Fat, drunk, and stupid is no way to go through life, son.
And the picture's great, by the way, if you haven't seen the picture.
Yeah.
There's several pictures. They blurred out his face, but yeah, he's not leaning over like this. It looks like maybe they were trying to get him to stand up to do the walk 10 paces or maybe do the touch your nose thing. And he sort of went like this and said, oh, this is a nice place to lay down. And that's what he did. That's what he did. He just kind of said, that's enough for me. We really damaged the front end of that car. And that thing is smushed in good.
Sure.
There's like bricks and cement blocks all over the backyard. Yep. Took the wall out right there. When you're so drunk, you don't need to even have a field sobriety test.
We don't even need one on you. We're just going straight that way. It's just happening.
I'm not that intoxicated.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you are.
Yes, you are.
Yes, you are. A former county treasurer trying to steal $38 million in taxpayer money in Arizona, and her own lawyer called it one of the dumbest, ill-conceived, short-sighted, and most audacious crimes in Arizona state history.
Oh,
my. What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it.
That was really...
More than $38 million stolen from taxpayers. No one disputes. The former treasurer of Santa Cruz County stole that money. Elizabeth Gutfar, due for sentencing later on today. Her attorney offering an explanation for what she did, saying one of the dumbest, most ill-conceived, short-sighted, and most audacious crimes in Arizona state history. That's what her own attorney said about her theft of more than $38 million of money that belonged to Santa Cruz County taxpayers. In the 8 months since she stood in Tucson federal court, pled guilty to embezzlement and tax evasion, she's been waiting for sentencing. In a memo to the federal judge, her attorney, Josh Hamilton, argued for sentencing her to the low end of the range agreed in the plea bargain. The defense and prosecutors agreeing to a range between 5 1/4 to 6.5 years in prison, plus 3 on probation. A direct quote from what her attorney told the judge said that Ms. Gutfar committed one of the dumbest, ill-conceived, short-sighted, most audacious crimes in Arizona state history. Her scheme was not well planned. She made no real effort to conceal her actions. Even a cursory review of financial records or publicly available information would have quickly uncovered her crimes. But however, for as dumb and ill-conceived and all the adjectives that guy used,
she did hire me as her lawyer, so...
The thefts went undiscovered for about 10 years. 10 years! Why wouldn't you think you could get away with it?
You would.
Voters knocked 2 Santa Cruz County supervisors out of office after the scandal came out. That wasn't even them. It was her. Yeah. This lady got away with didn't get away, but stole $38 million over the course of 10 years. And this guy's over here saying it was one of the most dumbest ideas in Arizona state history.
I don't know.
Sounds like she was doing okay.
For a long time.
And last but not least, video going viral of a lawyer in Colorado. I don't know if he thought he was at home arguing with his wife or his girlfriend or his mistress or whatever. But when you're in court, you refer to the judge as Your Honor. Right, Gene?
Was he belittling her?
This could have been 3 separate...
Okay, but it wasn't 3 separate. Let's go with what happened in the case.
But, honey, oh my God, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Your Honor. That, I don't know what to say to that. I apologize.
Go ahead.
The question here... I'm sorry, I've just been totally thrown by
I can
mistake.
I'm a little thrown by that also, if I'm being honest.
Your Honor, I don't know what to say.
Well, go ahead. You've only got 1 minute and 7 seconds left.
Honey.
Called her honey.
Sure
the judge, the lady up there on the bench and in the robe and all that stuff. 18 years of college and $8 million in debt, student loan debt to become a judge. All the things you got to do. Yeah. The prosecution's appellate lawyer addressing Judge Elizabeth Harris as honey. Oof. Not good. Video going viral. Sent it to my wife. She got a good laugh out of it.
I bet she did.
Yeah.
Honey, 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 honey.
Listen, honey.
Listen, honey.
Where do you want to go to eat tonight, honey?
Sweetie
Buttercup,
pie.
pumpkin.
Just settle down there, will you, sweetie?
I will give him credit. He admitted right away. He owned his baggage, apologized. It maybe honest mistake.
But
when you're talking about a man talking to a woman and a woman in a position of power over the man, and he uses a lovey-dovey term or derogatory term, if you will. Listen, woman. Oops. Little egg on his face. Bad news, happy music on Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene. We'll get to our daily check-ins after Trapped.
Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene. Start your day with Rock Mornings. Call.
Hello.
Email.
I tried emailing you.
Text. So many ways to check in with us. Check. We rely on you guys for traffic updates, requests, and all sorts of other stuff.
Check this out.
Rockmornings.com is the website. You can head there, find all our contact info, listen to the show live, check out the daily podcast, subscribe, all that crap. Got a text from Autumn earlier. We were talking about that parrot, the foul-mouthed parrot that is up for adoption in Massachusetts. People are enamored with it because it swears like a sailor.
Mm-hmm.
Autumn said President Andrew Jackson's parrot had to be removed from his funeral because of all of the swearing.
Which sounds really fun.
Hell yeah.
It's like having a best buddy.
If you
could just sit around and talk to, and you can watch games. And
if my dog could talk, you know what I would teach it? Swear words. Immediately. That's what we tried to do to all the dishwashers that started at Michael Timothy's. Teach them swear words, rap lyrics. It was hilarious. They'd come back and be like, you're very bad. Yeah. We're not good, man.
Yes, that's exactly what we do.
Welcome to working in the kitchen. Also got a message on Facebook from Pickles. Said his buddy's parrot says Packers rule. I say they suck, and then the parrot apparently attacks him. Got a text from Jamie saying, did you say what time the Clydesdale procession starts? And I sent him a link to BigRiverRally.com where it's got all the info on the Budweiser Clydesdales who are coming to town on Saturday. That's right, the world-famous Budweiser Clydesdales, which you may have never seen before and may never see again.
I have not ever seen them.
In person, are coming to La Crosse as part of the Big River Rally this Saturday.
Yeah, this Saturday down at the grounds, getting unloaded and all hooked up to their rig, and then they'll do the procession starting at 2 o'clock, weather permitting, of course. That will go through downtown La Crosse. You can find that procession on BigRiverRally.com, and then back into the grounds after that for the bike show and the stunt shows and the live music and the food vendors and all that information and the ticketing found at BigRiverRally.com.
Also got a text from Brenda. We were talking about this Cluely AI that apparently cheats.
Answers your questions, cheats on tests, essentially interview questions as well. Is that kind of the concept? Dates, maybe, dating too?
It sounds like they openly admit that it is essentially cheating. Brenda said, how is AI helping our kids learn on their own? Just saying that AI will be the death of us all. I agree. I think it's not good. Not good. Nikki says, how does AI help when you have to give actual examples of something that you did or handled a situation? You get the lady at the Truist Bank who, you know what I mean, has to sue her employer because she can't.
I think it's helping with the questions you want it to, and there's others that you're answering on your own, is what I'm assuming, but I didn't go to the website and check out more.
Brandon texted in earlier when we were talking about Nick Cannon, who couldn't remember all 12 of his kids' names. And Brandon said, who the hell could remember all 12? And I said, very few people is my guess. Even the people who actually had the 12 kids and Like, Nick, I don't think lives with all 12 kids under one roof, right?
He does
He's
not.
paying a lot of child support.
They're $3 million a year in child support.
So my guess is that even if you're like a farm family, you know what I mean, where you got the 12 kids to run the farm.
Jeff and James and John and Joe and Jacob.
You might get to a point where you're like, oh, geez, which one? And then you run out of, which ones did I already say? You know what I mean? You get to that point, like, my mom had 8 brothers and sisters. So I'm sure my grandmother at some point was calling them Cosby had a famous bit about that, and
calling them by the wrong name. Plus, all of his have really long and interesting names, so it's not the
weird names
and weird. So it's like
Zin and Zing and Zang.
I don't know if I could remember all them either because I was just were saying them and I was like, what is that?
Yeah. So I don't know, Brandon. It sounds like everyone would struggle trying to remember 12 different names. Thank you very much for all the correspondence. Good to hear from you guys. Have a great rest of your Monday. We'll talk to you tomorrow.